I thought for a change I'd do a running session with some of my LNER liveried locomotives today. And so the first one is the Hornby Railroad A1 Flying Scotsman. This is the very first railroad version. A more recent one came out, which is, in my opinion, not so good. It's got a 3-pole motor and a flywheel and it doesn't have fitted handrails on the tender, for example. I reckon this original one is better. It's got a 5-pole motor, it's smooth and quiet, and let's get it going. It's pulling some railroad Gresleys, these shorter than scale length ones. They still look all right. And I picked this one up as part of a set I bought off eBay for about £60 to £70 for the whole set, which, considering you get a really smooth locomotive, 3 coaches, a load of track, controller. I sold the track and the controller, and I've still got the locomotive. So, how much did it cost? Not a lot, really. Meanwhile, on the outer track, there is another Flying Scotsman. This is an A3 version, and this was produced by Hornby, I think, in a late 1990s, early noughties. It's a tender drive version, made in China, and it was under the Super Detail banner at the time, but it's not as good as the more modern locomotives. But being tender drive, it's pretty robust, and it's got a replacement tender drive chassis in it, because the original it came with was missing loads of bits and bobs. I got this for about £30 off eBay. The reason for it being so cheap was that it had been left in the sun, I think, and one side, the green colour, has faded to a sort of bluey grey, which is a bit weird. You can't really see, obviously you can only see one side of the locomotive at a time, but I'm going to probably re-livery it at some stage, maybe into BR green. I don't know, I haven't decided yet, but because it's an LNER running session, here it is. And it's pulling some even older than 1990s coaches. It's pulling some Triang Hornby 1970s Thompson coaches that were based on the British Rail Mark 1 chassis and roof, but with Thompson style, sort of the fake teak style of coaches. Anyway, let's see this one running. Not as quiet or as smooth as the railroad model, but it's a very attractive engine anyway, and the lining on it and the livery is beautiful. Bit of a jerky start, as you saw. Don't be tempted to pay the prices some people ask for the Flying Scotsman or these Thompson coaches on eBay, or the Gresley Railroad coaches on eBay, because they really are quite cheap to come by if you wait around or buy in bulk. Don't buy individual coaches, because you'll end up paying £4 or £5 maybe for postage. Another reason why you shouldn't spend too much money on a Hornby Thompson coach is because they're bound to come with the very old 1970s wheels, either the silver seal wheels as they called them at the time, that were sort of plated chrome steel, which were quite coarse, or even worse, the see if I can show that better, the white rimmed wheels, which are actually, you know, quite authentic for certain LNER coaches, I believe. But these were plastic, and they are, yeah, they don't run well on modern track. The flanges are too thick, and you probably saw them wobbling away. They don't like my peacock points. And if you think, oh well, that's all right, I can just put modern wheel sets on them. Yes, you can, but the price of you buy packs of 10 Hornby coach wheels these days, the price of those seems to be between about £15 and £20 these days. And by the time you've done that, your bargain Thompson coach isn't quite such good value. You'd be better off looking out for a second-hand Bachmann Thompson coach, which you'll be seeing in a minute. Next to appear is a Thompson B1. It's actually in British Railways livery, well, except it's apple green. The reason I'm showing it next is because it's hauling 3 of the Bachmann teaks. Right, I've stopped the locomotive here so you can see it nice and clearly. It's a beautiful colour, absolutely superb livery. Hornby have done that one really well. So probably 1948, still LNER apple green, but with British Railways on the tender. The first coach is an Ian Kirk full brake. I bought that as a job lot with about, I think it was 6 coaches for £70. Kit built Ian Kirk coaches. They weren't perfect, but they were as good as I could build them, so I thought they were pretty much a bargain. And then we've got 3 of the Bachmann Thompson coaches. There we are. Yeah, the livery probably isn't perfect, but I've no idea what the Thompson teak coaches looked like back in the 1940s because it was 20 years before I was born, for a start. But overall, I think they're rather good value. There, you can pick these up for between about £10 and £15 each. You might be lucky if you bought, say, 3. I think I got these 3 for about £35, plus a bit of postage. Yeah, they're pretty good overall. You know, the windows aren't perfectly flush, but they've got a nice bit of detail on the roofs, and they run well, and they've got finer wheels than, well, certainly finer wheels than the Thompsons that Hornby made back in the 70s. I think the B1 is one of the best locomotives Hornby have ever made. I mean, mine's a great runner. It's really nicely detailed. I'm quite surprised they haven't made more of them. They haven't re-released them because, you know, for an LNER modeler, the B1 is a sort of one of the most numerous locomotives they ever made. Certainly the biggest of passenger locomotive, most popular, numerous, I think that's the word I'm looking for, most numerous sort of mixed traffic or passenger locomotive they made. I think they made about 400 of them. So You know, maybe Hornby thought, well, Bachmann made it years ago, most people have got a B1 in their collection if they want it, but to be honest, the Hornby model is so much better than the original Bachmann one. Yeah, I've got a couple in my collection, but I particularly like this one in apple green. And now, in complete contrast to the beautiful locomotives on the main line, here's a rather plain, although quite nicely painted, LNER F5 or F4, based in the Great Eastern region. I picked this one up second hand off eBay, I think. It's kit built, it's noisy, it doesn't run particularly well, but we'll see how it goes anyway.